Well, I wanted to start off with a bad word, I guess is the way to say it. You know, um, we don't like to say this word, yet I think it's an appropriate word, which is the word shift. And the reality is the real estate market goes up and it goes down, and uh, there are times in history when we find ourselves in a shifted real estate market, and we're smack dab in the middle of one. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that a shifted market, if you've talked to people that have been through a shifting real estate market, on the other side of a shifted real estate market, it's really awesome. And we do things in a shift that prepare us to thrive on the other way of it. And the best analogy I could throw, Lee, is a health journey, right? Like you might find yourself at some point in life where you're really healthy. And then you might find yourself at another point in life where maybe you got out of health. And then when you get out of health, you make some changes, right? Like you
Yeah.
uh, go change your exercise routine. You might change your eating habits. And then at some point in time after you make those changes, you become really healthy again. And the analogy works for the real estate market. If we are in that period of unhealthy, as far as the health analogy, we're making changes. We're focusing on activities. We're doing things that we probably did in the past, but we're getting back to doing those things. And at some point in time, we'll be really healthy again. And we'll be excited about that. But it's not such a negative place to recognize the fact that we're in a shifted real estate market. It's an awareness place because it's a reminder we need to probably go back and do the things at a higher level that we know are the right things to do, and we'll all be better for it. And it's really exciting when we come out of the shifted real estate market. So maybe it's time to go reread that book. I don't know. I know people hate when I say the word shift, but I do
I
think
think
we owe reality conversation. Go ahead, Lee.
I don't think it's anything to be frightened of.
Yeah.
I think change happens all of the time in all aspects of life. There's always an opportunity. If you just take a step back, take a breath, and look, you can navigate your path. And it's a marathon or however you want to put it, but a voyage. You'll get to the end and be happy that you did.
There you go. We still can't see you, by the way. All
I
right,
don't know what's happening with the camera. I've tried restarting over.
Collins for tech help. All right, Fulton County. We've got 931 active inventory as of this morning, thanks to Stephen, who does all our stats for us. 931 is pretty healthy. It's certainly more than we've been experiencing. However, in the last 7 days, Stephen, I think you got these numbers flipped. We have 157 that went active under contract in the last 7 days. We had 327 pending, which is still a pretty healthy number for Fulton County. However, we had 227 closed in the last 7 days. The next couple days are the end of the month. Expect that number to probably crest 300 in the next 7 days in Fulton County. Overall, the way I would explain the analogy is if 100 miles per hour in a car is full speed. In the pandemic, we were probably driving downhill, and that speed probably accelerated to 120 miles per hour. However, in a shifted market, that speed might slow to 70 or 80 miles per hour. So are we dead stop? No, not even close. But when you go from 120 miles an hour down to 75 miles an hour, you feel it. you definitely feel the slowdown. Yet we're certainly plowing our way forward back to 100 miles per hour. And I just want to make sure you realize what I'm saying is we didn't stop to zero. We slowed down from 120 to 75, and we're climbing our way back to 100. So DeKalb County, 522 active inventory, still over that 500 mark, which is great inventory. We had 92 active under contract. Anytime we're close to 100 in DeKalb County, we've got a lot of properties going under contract. 168 pending, a little bit down from last week, yet most of those I'm assuming closed out in the last 7 days because we had 161 closings. So, real estate always peaks at the end of the month. I would venture to guess we're going to see over 200 closings next week in DeKalb County, which is a really healthy number. End of last month, there was 191. We're at 161 right now. I think these are healthy, good numbers under the circumstances, right? Cobb County, it's got high inventory at 486. They're over triple digits, went under contract last 7 days. Really, really good numbers. 196 on the pendings and 162 closed out in the last 7 days. There was a lull in Cobb County. There was a lull in DeKalb County. There was a lull in Fulton County in the last 7 days on the closings, but I believe that was a pre-end of month lull. You're going to see most of those houses close out this week. So overall, good numbers. I wouldn't go as far as to say great numbers. I do believe the interest rates are causing us from being great right now, but we'll dive into that. Lee, any comments?
I'd say solid. It's a solid market out there. There's work to be done. And yeah, interest rates just spiking as they have over the past few weeks will have an impact. And as you showed at the quarterly stats market update, as soon as they get down below the sevens, the speed increases in the market will be 100.
Yeah, well, we're not there. We're at 7.45. So you can see, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm saying as soon as they come back down, which they will at some point in the next couple of months, they'll creep down. People have a comfort level in the upper sixes now.
100%. Before I pop this article up, I know over the last couple of days there's been some massive tornadoes that ran the United States, and those are natural disasters, guys. And natural disasters tend to happen in certain parts of the country. If you're coastal, you deal with hurricanes. If you're mid-America, you deal with tornadoes. But I do believe Atlanta is mostly isolated from a lot of natural disasters. I wouldn't say we're immune to it, but the location of Atlanta, this article was sent to me by Mr. Ken Liberty, and I appreciate that. But it says Atlanta's population could boom as people flee sea level rise, wildfires, and hurricanes. They're saying it could drive 320,000 people from coastal areas to the city. So, assuming this to be a true statement, what would I do with this information? Lee, you're my guest here.
Oh, sorry. It's assuming that I believe it's a true statement, absolutely. And I think there's the opportunity to market Atlanta. We've seen consistent growth over decades anyway. And I think there's the opportunity to reach further afield with your marketing options, to build relationships with people. There are going to be referral business is increasing. We have the KW network nationwide. I would utilize that.
Yeah,
I think
building relationships with agents and leadership in coastal areas for sure, because I do believe there's a lot of movement that comes up from Florida. I believe there'll be movement from the coast of Georgia. It's just stuff to keep your eye on, right?
yeah, as the article, not just rising sea levels, but wildfires, California, et cetera, et cetera. There are so many pushes on people from locations such as that, not just the natural disasters and issues occurring around them, but then you add California's mix of taxes and things as well. I
Yeah,
think it's just take time to analyze and pick a market, build some relationships, leadership or agent to agent. There's business to be done. There's opportunity in a shift.
all right. So this article hit the Atlanta Business Chronicle. It says Atlanta's build to rent market set for robust growth in 2024. So we've talked about this before, but just personal story. I went and got my hair cut 2 weeks ago, and my hairdresser was all excited because she was moving into a new construction property for rent. And I said, well, tell me about that. And I was asking a lot of questions and stuff like this. And one, I think it kind of sucks that there's a lot of inventory that's not going to come for sale. But I started kind of thinking every story's got an opportunity if you can think about it. And I started thinking about these build for rent neighborhoods. And I remember when I was young and trying to get my real estate business going, I knew there was a strong buy versus renting diagram. Like, what's the benefit of owning versus renting? And that's a very real conversation. And then I remember at the time, we were trying to do everything we could do to market apartment complexes. And you couldn't really figure out how to get the addresses. You couldn't figure out how to get the homeowners, but you wanted to market apartment complexes for buyers. And the messaging was own versus rent. Well, I started thinking about these build for rent neighborhoods. One, we're going to know what the properties are leasing for. Two, we're actually going to be able to get the addresses. And I thought it's almost a farm for buyers. If you were to take these build for rent neighborhoods, it could be an incredible marketing strategy with messaging around own versus renting. And so there would be potential buyers. You could get in front of them and get the right messaging, because I do think this is here to stay. I think there's a lot of developers that are going to build these neighborhoods, build for rent. It is controversial, but it's coming, guys. And obviously, I think she said she moved into a neighborhood in Swanee, but I can't remember exactly where it was. But it's coming.
I
And
think
right, there's always
there's opportunity to build your pipeline over the longer run, because I don't believe that most people renting will remain renters forever. So there's the opportunity in the longer term to build a robust pipeline. There's opportunity if you want to go out and find land. There are going to be developers looking to build these types of projects. It goes towards housing affordability. So obviously there's a built-in demand for people that are going to rent the units, the houses. So there's opportunity there for new construction listings and development. You think big. I think it's just a factor that, again, the demand is there. People are shifting to meet it.
absolutely.
We can capitalize.
There's also, when we were doing the state of the industry, we were talking about the population growth of Atlanta and then the projected population of the different age sectors. And I think, Mark, you were there up front with me, but we were kind of surprised at the population growth of over 55. It was unproportioned to I don't know what the heck the word is, out of the other sectors, but
Disproportionate.
It was out of whack.
thank you. So there's 3 senior housing projects going up in Atlanta. And maybe a business strategy is to target over 55. There's certainly developers and builders. It looks like these are going in Peachtree Corners, Milton, and Alpharetta. But it could be a strategy. And what I'm trying to teach everybody to think about is we only try, leadership, we always try to find the positive news. We don't like to talk about negative news. So like build for rent could be negative news to us. Yet there's always an opportunity if you can find it. And in this case, what's the opportunity?
Well, in the earlier article, the Atlanta Build to Rent article, they referenced that the primary groups were millennials and retirees were two of the big markets. So, those are 2 demographics that you can connect with and market to. I think the why Atlanta is that it's still comparatively cheaper to live a good life here than it is in New York or Los Angeles or somewhere like that. So there's a draw.
All right, so let's get down to the news. Fed's higher longer gamut may yet cool home price gains. So double-edged sword here. If I'm a homeowner and I'm excited about the equity gains I've had over the last couple of years, I may not like this article. My home price appreciation is going to slow down. Is that a true statement? Absolutely. It's definitely slowed down. What we don't want is depreciation. But if home price appreciation slows down to the national 50-year average of 4 to 5% a year, that's probably a good thing, guys. I will say the other side of that coin is affordability has become an issue. And if home price appreciation slows down to allow affordability to catch up, that's actually a good thing for our industry. It's a good thing for tomorrow's homeowner. And what's causing all this to happen? It's the fact that interest rates are holding above 7%. So do we love this? No. Could we love this in the future? Probably, because it slowed the housing market down enough to cause it to catch up, and we'll be stronger in the future. I was having lunch with I won't say their name, but we were talking about cryptocurrency, crypto. And I'm going to give you an opinion for a minute. They were asking me about my opinion around crypto, and I said, well, the thing about crypto that gives me a pause is there's no government behind it stabilizing the currency, meaning the US dollar is stabilized for the most part because we have an active government behind it causing it to stabilize. So while the government's keeping these interest rates high, it also stabilizes the US dollar long term. Hence, they're slowing down home price appreciation, they're slowing down inflation, they're causing that US dollar to be stable for the long term, which we don't love right now, but long term we will love. And I think that's what you got to see in some of these articles, is the fact that we have an active government, love them or hate them or agree or disagree, doesn't matter. What you can agree with is the stability of the US dollar long term is an important part of our capitalistic society. And that changes things from time to time. That puts us in shifted markets from time to time. It causes us to thrive in other markets from time to time. But right now, they're holding those interest rates longer than we predicted. We came on this call and said, oh, by May, June, the Fed's going to change the rates and we're going to have interest rates in the sixes. That crystal ball changed. The crystal ball today says we believe that they're going to do something end of summer. And, if you look down here, the MBA, Mortgage Bankers Association, predicted that the 30-year interest rate was going to be 6.1% by the end of this year and an average of 5.6 in the fourth quarter. Then they came out not even a month later and changed their prediction to say 6.4 by fourth quarter and 5.9 a year later. I still don't believe that to be the crystal ball. I think we'll be lucky to get between 6.5 and 7 by the end of this year. But I do believe they're going to come off what they are, but not till the second half of the year. And all that to say, I hate talking about interest rate predictions because I think it doesn't do us a service. But I want you to understand the why behind it, if that makes sense. Go ahead, Lee.
But I think that there's opportunity in every article and every piece of information. So we already know that if by the end of the year interest rates are 6.5, people will be quite happy about that. They'll think that comparatively low. They've been re-educated. The second thing is if home price appreciation is leveling off, that might encourage current homeowners to think, okay, then I'm going to make the change because I've seen the bulk of growth in my current property. I'm going to go and find a slightly easier market to purchase in, and I can refinance. I can date the rate, marry the house, and in a year or two's time, I'll be able to refinance. And there's certainty of a sort in these statements. It's not that fiery news story or a headline, we're heading towards a bubble bursting. The market's going to crash, all the things the press really loves. So there's stability here. That's not a bad thing for consumers.
I agree. This article pissed me off when I first read it, and then I got around it. But the Redfin.
I just need back copy on my computer. It's really not going to work now.
Okay. Buyers are losing faith in the American dream. I was triggered by this because I don't believe buyers are losing faith in the American dream. One is, I believe it is a timeless statement to say that real estate is the number one wealth builder in America. And real estate and the American dream of owning real estate is still going to be today. It was 10 years ago. It'll be 10 years from now. One of the crucial ways people build wealth. And therefore, I don't think anybody's going to lose faith. Has it slowed down consumer sentiment? Yes. Did it crush it? No.
Is there frustration in the American dream? Some.
Yeah. So what he's saying, though, and this is where I got my head wrapped around this, is rising inventory and a year-end interest rate cut will be key to restoring it. Meaning, if you wanted to describe American dream synonymous with housing market, that's kind of what he's doing. I don't think the dream is synonymous with the housing market, is my point. But at the end of the day, I do believe inventory is on a rise, and I do believe interest rates at some point in time will be cut. And I believe that we'll be positioned to win when that happens, because we're taking the analogy I started with if I was healthy and I got out of health, I'm going to make some changes in my life to get back in health. And right now, in this shifted real estate market, we're making changes to be healthier business people. And when these things happen, it's going to be foot on the gas pedal, guys. all.
Brett, surely you're not saying that there's just going to be an economic cycle. I mean, everything goes in economic cycles. It always has, always will.
Realize, Lee, I'm talking to you in leadership right now. The last economic cycle on the downside of it was like 2010, 2011, where it felt like it did now. The percentage of real estate agents in our industry today that were in that market in 2010 is probably 30%, maybe even less, which means 70% of the real estate agents have never experienced a market like this from the real estate side. So
Yeah, but you could look at sub cycles like every 5 years, it seems, every 10 years or so, you get that big punch on the nose, one way or the other. Every 5 years, there are these shifts, and we've been through COVID. We've shifted out of COVID. We're now into this sort of prep for another boost to the market in a year's time. It's everything is cyclical. I think you can't worry about it too much, but as you're guiding us through today, you're looking at the headlines and you're seeing the opportunity behind them. I think that's what you focus on.
Absolutely.
I think it's good.
All right. So this article is a never fail step-by-step blueprint to consistently find listing leads. If you've heard me talk or we've talked on these calls, I think a lost art in our industry is farming. And I do believe farming is a big blueprint for the listing side of the business, and it's been a lost art for a while. And we've been so focused on buyer side of the business, the NAR caused us to look at our business and professionalize our value proposition, but it shouldn't go unnoticed that we should refocus on the listing side of our business. And
List to live.
Farming is one of the biggest tried and true methods around going after listing leads. And, this article, I could pop it in the chat, but you can just go to Inman and Google a never fail step-by-step blueprint. But farming, identifying the right area, financial evaluation, consistent direct mail, next level ideas for the farm area, leveraging your listings to get more listings. I mean, this is a tried and true part of real estate that's always been, but for whatever reason, and I'm generalizing, not everybody, but for whatever reason, farming hasn't really been talked about for a number of years, and it needs to be talked about right now, in my opinion. And I'd be pushing on this from a leadership platform. I'd be pushing on this from a peer platform. I'd be pushing on this from a business platform as a real estate professional, for sure. Are any questions? Mark said, part of the responsibility for keeping Americans engaged in the American dream is on us. I agree. We have to educate people on how great a wealth building opportunity is, and the fact that you can get a home for every little down payment versus down payment assistance and other grant loan programs, of course. Mark, any further to that thought?
Yeah, I just think with affordability becoming worse and worse, the opportunity for us to talk about down payment assistance and educate people that they don't need 20%, these opportunities are getting greater and greater. So we have to really dig into what that looks like for first-time home buyers, especially how to get out of renting and into buying so that they can start building that generational wealth.
Absolutely.
Definitely lean on our lender alliance partners, because all of them have programs and access to information. So if you're not sure, go have a coffee with the lender in the office.
Absolutely.
There you go. Lee, I'll give you the final word.
I love you guys. Go sell some real estate. There you go.
There you go. Have a good one.
See ya.